Live. Good evening and a warm welcome to the First in the Herald's new series of live virtual events. Our apologies for the slight delay. There was a technical hiccup. We're just waiting on McLeish to join us. But what a better way to kick things off than a look at one of the most exciting weeks in Scottish football. We're just over 48 hours away from taking on England at Wembley in the Euros, and I'm delighted to be joined tonight by two Scotland legends, Gordon Strachan and McLeish, who will be with us very, very shortly once we over that technical hitch. And they'll be guided through the next hour of conversation by our chief football writer, Matthew Lindsay. And you can, of course, get involved as well. So wherever you're watching, leave a comment below with your questions, and we'll pose them to Gordon and Alex between now and 8 p.m. And to celebrate the Euros and Scotland's long-awaited return to the main football stage, we're delighted to bring you a special subscription offer. You can subscribe to the Herald for just £1 for 2 months and enjoy immediate unfiltered access to heraldscotland.com. We've got the details on the screen right now, hopefully, if technical works. But no, so I'll tell you, head to heraldscotland.com/subscribe to take advantage of this limited time offer. Now, at the Herald, we aim to deliver the best insight, analysis, and opinion, and you simply can't get better than two former Scotland managers to tell us how our national team can win at Wembley and qualify for the knockout stages, as I believe, spoiler alert, Wales have already done. So it's over to Matthew to kick us off, and if Alec doesn't come on board, I've got his column for tomorrow in the paper. I can tell you exactly what he thinks about we should be doing at Wembley. Over to you, Matthew.
Thanks, Donald. Hi, Gordon. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. Very good.
Good stuff. Well, why don't we just kick off by giving us your thoughts on Scotland, Czech Republic? I mean, obviously, bitterly disappointing result. What did you think of the performance? How do you think we're looking going into the England game?
Well, I think if you're going back to the hotel after a game like that, you get back there and you think on the bus on the way back as a manager, and you think of the problem you've had during the game. Many times as a manager, there's been plenty of problems as you drive back on the bus, whether it be international or club football. You have a big think, and sometimes you can be in a position where where do you go from here? They're the days you don't want as a manager. Where do we go for here? And you see no light. But that wouldn't have happened to Steve on the other night there. I think he would have went on the drive back, and he would have sat with his coaches after and thought, right, okay, we made these chances, we did this, we did that. Can we say that? Look, who played badly? Well, nobody really. Who was magnificent? There wasn't many of them either. But I think there was, as a group, that they can be pleased with their performance. And I think as a manager, if you sit down before the game and say, right, okay, to the coaches and players, I think if we make about 12 chances, or get opportunities to, that's not too bad at a national level, a team like Czech Republic. And we got more than that. Nothing fantastic. Maybe one opportunity you would say was really a good one. I think that was the best one we'd probably do to the big man Dykes, big fella, when he's had that chance with his side foot in the net. And then I think the second best one was Andy, when Andy was bearing down on goals. Apart from that, was nothing really fantastic. Goalie's made a couple of good saves, actually. So the manager was saying, right, we did quite a lot there. And the game itself reminded me of a 1980s game in English Premier League where the ball go, right, okay, we're not going through the third. We're not doing that, and I've absolutely not got a problem with that whatsoever, because I actually enjoyed the game. So the ball was going up there, it was getting knocked down, or the players were fighting for it, which was good to see as well. McGinn, McTominay, and their players going in, winning tackles, and then the ball would go wide, and Scotland would try and do something for them, and Czech Republic would do something. It was tackles.
I think so, but
we enjoyed them.
Want that light on behind you?
Look,
so Big Alex just
stop camera, mate. Yeah.
Want the light on behind you?
So I will continue with my kind of view of the game. So the game itself was quite exciting for a lot of things. It wasn't for the purists. I don't think there was many purists watching. I think we wanted to see a win.
It's unmuted.
We wanted to see tackles. We wanted to see everything. We wanted to
Can't
see
hear the guys.
effort, and that's what we got. So I don't think Steve would be had a big problem when he woke up and had breakfast on
I can see God there.
Tuesday, was it? Tuesday. And he would have said to the players, that was
He's
good.
talking.
A lot of that was good. We're beat with 2 unbelievable goals. The second goal has got to be the goal of the tournament. The first goal, I doubt if there's got to be a better header in the tournament. And that's the small margins you're dealing with right now. And I think, as I said to you, that header was magnificent. The other strike was just out of this world. So they can feel a bit down, obviously, about it, but they can't, in the result, they can't feel down about what they did in terms of how they applied themselves, everybody.
Hi, Alex. How are you?
Hello.
Hi, Gordon.
How are you doing? Have we got to go through that again? Here we go.
Yeah, well, so generally speaking, like a lot of people, you see the positives in performance and feel there's something to build on there going into the England game.
I don't think the mood in the camp would change too much. It'd be great if you could get a win. That makes the world a better place. I know that. I don't think it'll make any difference to the preparation to the game. I don't think it'll make any difference to the commitment of the players. I don't think it'll make any difference to the belief of the players. They know what we are. We are a team that it's hard to beat. As I said to you, if you just take away 2 miracle goals, then that's a hard to beat team. And that's what we've got to do on Friday night. And which we've proven over the last, 18 months, whatever this year. You lose time in this COVID moment. So we're hard to beat. And I think if we're one of these teams that I think if we get in the lead, I think people will find it difficult breaking us down. That's for sure.
The technical issues that we've been experiencing, but I think hopefully that's sorted now, and hopefully Alex will get his technical issues and come and give us his thoughts on things shortly as well. Gordon, what would you change? Would you change anything for the England game? Tactics wise, team selection wise.
Well, the lads seem to enjoy playing the system. It's a system that allows you to get all your good players in, with Robertson and with Tierney if he comes back. We're strong in midfield, so you think about that. Then we've got midfield players in there that can score goals and get near the goals. So I think it's a system that suits them. The dilemma being, and somebody asked me, how do you score against England? I've just been watching the Wales game, and I keep saying this for years. If we had Bale, what a difference it makes. People must be getting bored with that now. I apologise for that, because I've just seen him produce another outstanding pass tonight. Something really brilliant. I think, and it's gone back years now, that we've not relied on individuals because we've not had that top outstanding individual that some countries have got. So we have to work hard at everything we get. I mean, really work hard. We need to work defenders in a group and attacking as a group. We need to get a lot of chances by the looks set to score a goal as such. But in the middle of the park, we have people who can score goals. Just make sure that we're up around about Dykes. Now, what you've got to say is, where have we got a kind of level playing field with England? And I think that would be at set plays, because we have added height with McTominay and 3 centre backs now. So that's added height. And I think there can be a real threat there. Now, how do you get up there? Which way do you want to go through? Because it might be hard to pass through the thirds, as everybody wants to call it that. But I don't think you need to do that. I think you get the ball to Dykes, or you get the ball, people running through it, and getting us into positions where you hope people can take people on. If they beat them, brilliant. If they don't, free kicks. And I would say that to the players. I remember saying that to one of them. Take people on in the last third, because we can definitely become equal with set plays. Now, how do we do that? You might say, right, okay, Fraser and Forrest can do that. Do they fit into the system that's there? Do you use one of them as a wing back? And you think, right, if one of them's a wing back, they're facing Sterling at times, and they might be Foden. You think that's worth it? That's a dilemma, because these guys up when they get in the last third would definitely give you a chance to eliminate players and get free kicks. But you've got to think, as a manager, you have to think, well, what happens if they're wing backs and they have a problem with people attacking us with real pace and threat? So that's a dilemma Steve's got. He also might think, right, I can keep the same system, but if I take a midfield player out, I can play Kevin Nisbet and just have him, as he does with Hibs, dropping back into the middle of the park. But still, as you see at Hibs, and he scored the semi-final, where he come from deep and scored the goal. That's something for Steve to think about. Does he think, right, I'll go and attack them right away, see if I can get something early? Or do what we can do is yeah, we can go forward, but we can also get behind the ball quickly and hold up there, and our height and strength and our unit will allow us, and hopefully, to stop goals. But how do we get back up the pitch? That is the problem that you've got to solve, and people do it in different ways. There's a lot of teams around the world that different. Teams will try and pass through the third. People try and dribble from their own half to beat that. People will try and put the ball over the top to do it. People try and drop it in. I've seen Wales doing that tonight. The balls went up to Kiefer Moore, and they're chipping the balls into his chest. I see that with Belgium at times, into Lukaku. So there's all different ways of getting through that. And I don't think you just go for the one way of playing. I think there should be a variation there. And I think Steve alluded to that when he said the other day that after the game, which I think Stuart Armstrong said, well, we played too many longer passes. And I think Steve said we should have been braver on the ball. So that's an indication that they might be looking to be more braver on the ball and try and pass, get more passing and be more variation of play.
We've had a question in from Jack Aitchison, who's asking, Gordon, would you start any of the young players? Would you start Billy Gilmore? Would you start Nathan Patterson? Or do you think this is a match for experience?
It's a match for good players. It's a match for good players. We've all played young players. But it's Billy, it depends what you've got to play. It's if you want to play the ball forward quickly, then has Billy got to score your goals? Has Billy then got to be looking at centre halves and saying, give it to me, and suddenly it's went up the pitch? So to bring Billy into the play, you've got to, I think, unless Billy changes his intelligence enough to do this, I think, Billy's always taking the ball from every defender in the Chelsea team. Are we got to do that? Are we good enough when Billy turns to put the ball through to people? Are we good enough to go in the half turn like Havertz, like Mount? You've got to take that into consideration, and Steve will have that plan, And if Billy, if you're not going to pass the ball through the thirds, is Billy got to be as positive in what he does as John McGinn or McTominay or Christie, who can go for knockdowns, who can win the ball in midfield? There's got to be a scrap. So you've got to take that on. You've got to say it's what Steve envisaged how the game's got to play out. It's okay people getting on the ball if there's not enough options in front of them. At Chelsea, there's people going over the top, going on the side, coming short, going long. But that's a system that takes a long time to work, and these players are used to that. And they've also got individual ability that's quite frightening. And these guys are 50, 60, 70, 80 million pounds worth of players.
Oh, I'm afraid to say that Alex's technical difficulties have got the better of him, and he's not going to be able to join us tonight. But you will be able to read Alex.
You don't need to listen to his nonsense. That's it. I've been listening to that for the last 50 years, so that's fine.
You'll be able to read Alex's thoughts on the Scotland England game in his column in the Herald tomorrow. We've had a question in from David McLeish, and he wants to know, what are Wales doing that we are not? Is it just a case of luck in having high caliber players coming through, or is there something more to it?
Listen, it all changed for Wales when Bale suddenly became a world star. And unfortunately for Craig Levein, that all happened at the one time. Bale come through for Wales, and Hazard and De Bruyne come through for Belgium. Craig was a bit unlucky at that time. Trust me, I was watching it tonight, and they've got a front four that could easily be a top front four in the English Premier League. Absolutely. Ramsey, Juventus, Bale, Real Madrid, Tottenham, James, Man United, Pace. I'm afraid we've not got the players at this moment in time. And that might be a wee bit unfair on some players, but if I'm unfair, the players you might think is unfair should be playing for Real Madrid, Tottenham, Juventus, Man United, but we're not. Our best players play in midfield in the Premier League. So it's all to do about ability. It's not systems. It's absolutely nothing to do with systems. Because if you look at Wales, it's a back four, nice and simple. We've got two in midfield, Morel and Allen, who both win the Championship, by the way. Right? We've got midfield players who are starting in the Premiership. So the big difference is what have you got up front? And if you've got four players like, Moore doesn't play in the Premier League, I know that, but they've got excellent foil for the other three. These other three are magnificent players who can do things, as you've seen tonight, that are just different. They can see there was a pass from Bale to Ramsey that nobody could see coming, apart from Ramsey. So that is a big difference in international football. Can we try any harder? No. Can we get coached any better? Don't think so. It's so much to do with players, and to be fair, some fans just don't believe that, but it's fact. I think Guardiola says that. As soon as you get players playing like this, he says, brilliant, it's easy. I just buy the best players in the world. I know there's more to it than that, but that's it. Defensively, you can always do well, but Scotland do, coaching-wise. And from a defensive shape, you can attack well. But really, there's only certain areas in attacking-wise you can have codes for what you've got to do. But generally, it's the brilliance of the attacking players that wins games of football. That's for sure. And again, the other night, the guy gets up and scores a header, wonderful header from whatever's against Scotland. So we can look too much into it. It's Bale was the catalyst for this Wales side. Don't worry about that. He was the catalyst for this Wales side.
You mentioned, speaking of forwards, I mean, you mentioned Kevin Nisbet earlier. What about Shea Adams? A lot of people would like to see him brought into the starting lineup at Wembley. Do you think he made a difference when he came on in the second half against the Czechs? And did you have him in the starting lineup against England?
We're talking about Nisbet now, aren't we? Yes. We like him. We like what he's done so far.
Shea Adams, Gordon. Shea Adams.
Shea Adams, I would think about Shea Adams. The reason why is Shea's played in the Premier League a lot, and he knows who he's playing against. He understands what will be coming towards him. I think the first time I played against England as a young man, I thought I knew the game. Aberdeen are doing great. And then I played this England side. I thought, oh, they're real men. This is something different. It's like playing Brazil for the first time. And it can blow you away. But I mean, the physical side, that was my problem, obviously. Kevin's obviously a bit more physical than me. But it's funny that he can nip back at midfield and fill gaps in midfield. I think he's got the ability to get back there and fill in the midfield. But going back to Shea Adams, I think that's a good shout, playing him. And I'm sure it's in Steve's mind now because he knows Tyrone Mings. He knows the other centre-halves. He knows what's going on there. He knows Stones. He's played against them. So he knows what to expect. So I think maybe a thought in Steve's mind to pick as many Premiership players as he can in his team to make sure that they've all got an understanding of who they're playing against. So for instance, it might be you just pick, Norwich have went up in the Premier League and Grant Hanley's played in the Premier League. You might pick a back three of the guys that have played in the Premier League rather than Jack Henry. Nothing against Jack, but I don't know if Jack's played against Harry Kane, Mo, Mount and Sterling and people like that. I might be wrong, but I think Steve might be thinking that way as well.
We've had a question in from reader Johnny Adamson, and he's asking, saying, Gordon, there's been a lot of discussion around whether Clark should have gone with 4 at the back when it was known Tierney wasn't fit. Would that have been a realistic call so close to the game? And if Tierney isn't fit for Friday, will we go with 4 at the back against England?
Well, see, the thing about supporters and men in charge like Steve Clark, there can't be a big panic Because fans panic. If you watch them watching the game, they panic. Everybody panics. And they're panicking now. Oh, we need to change again. Why? Because defensively you've been good. It's not a problem. But to answer the question about, I think Tierney could play in a back four. I've not got a problem with that. I think he's strong enough upper body strength to deal with headers. And he's good enough to go in and find players who play in between the lines. And it would also get Andy back. Probably, Andy prefers full back. But he'll do anything for his country to get these players in. Also, you might think about playing Tierney at right back. You know, because if Sterling's got to come into the park, going as if he's playing out there and push him in the park, he's got the left foot to deal with him coming in the park, Tierney. So you can get your best players into a back four. That's for sure. And I think Andy prefers receiving the ball 20 yards further back where he can see in front of him, rather than when he receives it. If you're a wing back, normally you're facing in the park. So there's always a dilemmas there for Steve, but I don't think it'll be a problem for the players to change, because I think they can do that. They can play in a back four and they can play in a three at the back. But again, it all depends. The game itself depends on if you're brave enough on the ball. Can you win tackles? Can you head the ball? Can you beat people? It'll all be down to that. I know systems are important. It's more about the players, but it's more about getting your good players on the pitch. That's for sure. And I think, as I said to you, Steve might be thinking, how many of these Premiership players can I get on the pitch in a system that suits us against England?
I thought I was like you. I thought the back three was decent. I thought the back three was absolutely fine against the Czechs. But how much of a difference do you think losing Tierney made, and how much of a difference do you think it will make getting him back? What would the difference be if they got him back to Wembley on Friday night?
Well, it's unfortunate to try and compare him with anybody else who's played in that position, because unfortunately, whoever you pick after Kieran, it's not going to be in that class. It's got to be a good player. Liam Cooper's a good player, and so is Hanley, and so is Jack. But Tierney he'll just take it on. I mean, he's a fellow that can play from left centre back, spot gaps between midfield and wide players. He can run through that. And you know, with Andy's got to understand when he sees it may go, Andy can easily float back into that position and cover him. So you're talking about a top player. And when you're playing good teams, you need all your top players. Unless you get a bit lucky, which would be handy. We keep forgetting about that. I bet luck would go down well, to be honest with you. And David making big saves, which he did the other night there. Let's not forget, David made some big saves the other night there. You know, for all the fun he's given us on the texts and Facebook and things like that over the last couple of days, he had a right good game. You know, apart from that moment where he'll look back and reflect and think, maybe. No.
Is it possible to pick out one or two danger men for England, or are they just too good? Have they got threats all over the park? Who are the players that you like in the England team?
Yeah, I spent all day talking about this to different people, and one of them was my friend Adrian Childs, and I said, I'll tell you what, I don't care what the team is, but I hope you don't pick Grealish. Because I really do think he's a top player. I don't care what the team is, but don't pick Grealish. I think if he's not playing, I'm quite happy to do that, because they have got some good players that can eliminate you. I don't think it's outstanding elsewhere. I don't think if you say to me, let's change Phillips and Rice for McTominay and McGinn, I'd go, maybe no. I'm all right there, you know. But for people, England have got people. They've got the best, as far as I'm concerned, number 9 in the world, and they've got people who can eliminate 5 or 6 who can eliminate after that. And it's something we're dreaming about. You know, James has been injured this season, and so's Ryan Fraser, so that's why they're behind, probably in the pecking order, because we're playing another system. But you need, I generally think you need these players to go and win games for you. Do something really different. You know, again, talking about the Bale today, he's got a lot of him. He's 6'2", runs like the wind, can shoot, can head, can take long throw-ins as well. He's got a lot, that fella, and he's an absolute stunning golfer as well. So this guy's got a lot. Yeah. So there's decisions to be made by Steve, and it's not easy. It's definitely not easy. Does he, as I said to you at the beginning of this, does he make sure that don't get we go to a certain area in the game where we've nobody scored against us year, and then think about doing something else? But again, there's good things to think about. Do you want to play two strikers, but one of them has to come and give you a hand, which can easily be done with Nesbitt. He can do that for you. Do you get one of the smaller guys in to go and try and eliminate people? But if you don't have the ball, then the small player's not very good, because you can't eliminate people if you've not got the ball. You know, I keep hearing that in punditry that, oh, well, the wing backs need to get forward. Well, if your team's not got it, then the wing back can't get forward. It's impossible. You look stupid standing up the pitch waving. Give me the ball, we've not got it. Could you come back and defend? You know, so it's all about what happens in the middle of the park. Like most sports, rugby's the same. Whoever's got the ball dictates where the ball has got to go after that. So, and I think that's why Scotland will probably stick to having 4 midfield players in there, or Nisbet coming in there and giving your hands a midfield player when we lose it, but having that ability to add goals. So it's a good thought. That's a good thought. It's a good idea, I think.
Do you think the England team's got any weak areas or weak links that Scotland can exploit? I mean, the question mark over their goalkeeper, Pickford. Is there any other aspects of their play that you think Scotland can do some damage?
Again, I still think it's our midfield players. If we can get the ball at the edge of the box, I think we've got people who can hit it from 25 yards. I think we'll go like McGinn, Christie. Can we get them in that one? Can we find them an area of 2 yards where they can get a hit and go? That's one way of doing it. Another way is, as I say, set plays, corner kicks, free kicks. But to get them, you've got to get up the park and try and take people on. So obviously, I've done it a couple of times. When you get the last stop, take people on. Now you might beat them, but they have to foul you. So that's okay. We can then be, you know, there's a good chance then we become real equal. Scotland becomes real equal with England in terms of height and set plays, I think. Am I still there? Yes. Big Alex joining us. Live from, I've no idea where he's live
from London. Absolute technophobe mistakes there, big man. Wee man, you know.
You not get internet in London, big man? No.
I'll tell you what, Gordon. Sorry about that, guys. I just had a meltdown with my laptop, and I tried it on my phone, and of course, didn't really work. But Gordon, I heard a lot of your stuff there, and absolutely spot on.
No, it's nice of you. It's nice.
Ideas there after a half an hour. I thought, where is he? Please stop.
I know I phoned you half an hour before. Well, I texted you to say we're ready in 10 minutes, you know, and then all of a sudden the whole system went haywire.
I thought you'd left me again.
It's nice that you can join us, Alex. And we've got a question from the reader, Kathinka Mum. Who are the biggest
threats to England? Well, I heard Gordon mention Jack Grealish. I heard Jack as a kid, and I even had an audience with his father and Jack in the office with the academy director, and they were looking for a new deal, unprecedented. And I didn't argue, but was a bit worried about paying Jack too high wages. I said, listen, in 10 years' time, if this boy goes to Man United, or he goes to Man United in a cup, and we lose him now, we don't pay him what he wants, then you may lose a top player. Everybody thinks he's going to go all the way. And I agree with Gordon. I wondered if Gareth Southgate would unleash England a wee bit in the game on Friday night. And, to that end, playing somebody like Jack Grealish in the team. And, Jack gets fouled everywhere, in and around the edge of the box. He commits defenders. And because Scotland, we'll probably be, a little bit charged up for it, because we have to, we don't have to win it. We can draw, still win the next game and go through. But you certainly think that somebody like Grealish could bring something extra to England that they probably lacked a wee bit the other night. Although they got the job done. First game they've won ever in the first round of the tournament. And they done it in a kind of very tactical way, and so great credit to Gareth. When you come through a game like that, then the manager deserves his praise.
You've both played and managed against England on numerous occasions in the past. I'd like to ask you about that experience. Alex, you've won at Wembley. By my estimations, we've played England 8 times at Wembley in the last 40 years, and we've won twice. You were in the team when they won in 1981 with a John N. Robertson penalty. What are your memories of that day? And do you think it's possible on Friday night?
Well, I think it's always possible. I thought you were talking about the rugby there when you were talking about the statistics there. We've never won. We've only won 2 in those amount of games. But no, I can remember going down to Wembley for that game, 1981, and it was all over the papers that Trevor Francis and Big Peter With would take Wally Miller and Alec McLeish to the cleaners, and we ended up with a 1-0 victory. John Robertson penalty, Stevie Archibald brought down by Brian Robson. And it was just one of those memorable days. And, the Tartan Army obviously celebrated big time, as they always do, down in London, even win, lose or draw. But, that was one of the great moments. Have been on the receiving end from England as well. Good team, fantastic players over the years. And you would expect them to be favourites, but you can never rule out Scotland. And I think the one thing Scotland, we always tend to have, Gordon, and if I use that word, resilience, is probably not the word that you want, because it means that you're always bouncing back. We would obviously like to get consistency and be a real force, but I still think this team are growing, and the Czech Republic result, it was, maybe expectation levels were high and we thought we could dispense with them, but I always felt it was a very dangerous game. Souček and Soufal playing top level with West Ham, and Patrick Schick, a tremendous striker and a real big danger. And we obviously did try to take care of him, and to a certain degree, Gordon, I remember you when we played in France many years ago. We lost 3-1 to France, I think, in Paris. To Eric Cantona, I got a couple, so it looks like I've had a terrible game. But I remember you saying we were getting back, Gordon says, I thought you had a smashing game, big man. He said, but see, tomorrow's papers, we'll all get slaughtered. He says, you probably know, if they don't talk about you, you're for the good game. So, those kind of memories were fantastic. And I don't know if you remember that, Robin.
I've got to remember that Friends game, Alec, because there was two things happening there. Because I actually thought it was my last Scotland game. And I remember before the game, Andy Roxburgh says, "Listen, they're a right good side, but they've got this boy in Canada. Oh, what do you worry about him? He's a poor man's Joe Jordan." And then after the game, we got beat 3-0. I'm sitting there, and it was pouring rain that night, and I thought, well, that's me. I'm not getting a game again. And I thought things can't get worse than that performance, and it wasn't bad. Like as I said, you were brilliant. So,
You did say that. Maybe you were just on my chain, eh?
yeah. So I'm sitting there, and Andy Roxburgh's, he's the manager, and he's saying a few words, and I can hear, but I'm not listening because I think I'm right out the door. That's me finished. And just when I think it can't get any worse, Craig Brown come in and went, "Lads, well, it's all it's not all bad news." And I thought, what happened there? He says, "I've just been speaking to the UEFA observer," and he says, "That's the smartest bench he's ever seen in his life." And I went, "Really? Really? Is that what we've got to talk about here?"
Glory days.
Well done, the bench. Fantastic.
Gordon, you've by my calculations, you've managed 4 games against England, four Scotland games against England through at Wembley. Is it that bit different from an ordinary game as a manager? Is it more stress, more scrutiny? Is it what's it like as an experience?
I had a strange feeling the last time, and this is the way football think, and football coaches are a bit different. And again, it's about communication as such in terms of we had a terrific game against them, and we got beat 3-2, and we got beat with a set play, just a corner kick when Charlie went on and Lambert went on and scored this. But I was really pleased with that performance, and strangely, and this is what I think is very strange, that I actually felt the 3-0 game when we played there, I felt so sorry for the players. To work so hard at what they tried to do. You know, England had 3 shots on target that day and scored 3 goals. 3 headers, I think they were. And as a coach, you can only set out certain things and ask players to do certain things. So you can't change it at the end of the game. At 65 minutes, I turned to Matt McGee and Stuart McCall and said, "Listen, this is unfair. Because these boys have put everything we asked them to do into the football pitch in 90 minutes. And they were brilliant in terms of closing people down and not getting shots, moving the ball where we wanted to move it, and when we won the ball back, being brave enough to go and move up the pitch with the better chances, really. And that was strange. And I'll tell you how it makes it stranger. And this is the football world we live in. And I'll get back to the Bale thing I was talking about. That when we draw 2-2, everybody went, "Oh, that was brilliant. It was fantastic. It was great. I thought your lads were terrific." We weren't very good. But media, that was better. It wasn't better at all. Nothing like better. Do you know what made it better? Griffiths' 2 unbelievable goals. You know how we got them? By playing the ball up to Chris Martin and him getting free kicks. That was it. That's what we did that day. So it's strange because people think, "Oh, you must have been depressed with the 3-0. No, it wasn't. I was angry that the players never got the due they wanted. We got beat badly. The only time we got beat badly was at Celtic Park, which was we played a friendly after we beat Republic of Ireland, and that was, I'm afraid, after the Republic of Ireland, the England game, it didn't come up to the billing. So they're strange games. They're very strange games, and you can become an absolute legend, and you might even only touch the ball once in the game, but if you score that goal, you're the legend. Trust me. And if you're a manager that puts a sub on and scores a goal, you become a legendary manager as well. So it's a strange game to be involved in because the stakes are so high. Right, Alec, we're on now.
I agree.
There was a question I asked Gordon earlier that one of our readers texted in was how much for loss do you think Tierney was? How much of a difference do you think he'll make in if they get him back for the England game? And were you surprised that Steve Clarke didn't go to a back four when he was ruled out? I'd be interested to get your thoughts on that.
I mean, not really, because I wasn't. I thought the formation was probably what he would have done. And actually, we've got a chat group with some pals, and I actually had Cooper in the starting lineup. But it was along with Tierney. But in saying that, it was only because Tierney was out, Cooper got in. And he's such a phenomenal season with Leeds. Back in the day, when I was in the job after Gordon, and Gordon's narrow miss in the previous, then I experimented a wee bit, and I tried Tierney and Robertson, because you just can't leave those guys out, And I know Gordon played Tierney at right back, and I was going to play him at right back in the Albania game that we won over there, but we had Patterson instead, and obviously the big man did well that night, but it was really a one-off, and there wasn't I said to Tierney that, look, I just want you to do this game. I felt real oppression from the press in terms of why Robertson and Tierney were playing together. Every single press conference I went to, I get asked why. And we played against Albania, and Tierney was doing the underlap and the Andy, and Andy, was coming inside as well. And there was a great dynamic. And okay, it was a bit kind of, just forward play, very much so, and culminating in a 2-0 victory. But so now I'm reading everywhere that Tierney is the best thing since sliced bread as a left centre back, because Arsenal played them there. So that's approval, Gordon, isn't it? When they play in the Premier League and they play for a top team, that is the final approval. But when we're trying it, then it was a shame that I didn't get much support on it. But he's there now, and because he's been empowered even more from his Celtic days, a fantastic player. Didn't play much in left centre back with Celtic, but he knows how to do it, and he's aggressive, he's powerful, he's strong in the air, he can drive forward, and now everybody's lamenting the fact that we missed him in that particular game.
Gordon, do you think England can win Euro 2020 from what you've seen?
No, I think there'll be stronger teams there in terms of all round. I think France, look at the centre halves here, just they're doing the full backs. Belgium, they'll be hard to play against. I think the Germans will come back in it, but they can beat the Germans. But I think the two favourites would be, can they win it? Yes, they can win it. Do you think other teams might win it? Yeah, hopefully. Do you want me to win it? No. that's a bit. No. I live in England. I've just been to see my son. There's nothing but these white flags, red and white flags, dangling about the houses. I'd like to see them taken in and put away for another 2 years at least.
Gordon, we've had a question in from Christopher Noel, who has asked, do you think James Forrest should play, despite him being low on game time? Christopher reckons that James has been one of Scotland's most influential players for the last 5 years, and he thinks Clarke should have him in the team, even as a right wing back. What are your thoughts on James?
I think that would look. See, if you were having a practice match. Me and Alec put an international practice match on between two sides, and we had James Forrest playing at wing back, and you would think, oh, this is looking good. I like that. But then he's no facing Sterling, Foden, Grealish. That's a problem. It's great when you've got the ball, and James would have that, and he probably plays a wing back, and it's quite a real hard shift to do when you've not played that many games this year. So I think it's a great idea if you've got to get enough of the ball, as we said before. And you'll probably hear the pundits going, right, James, take him up the pitch, take him away. Well, I've not got the ball, other team's not got it, so I can't go up the pitch. I can't do that. That's what you get with the pundits. I'd like to see the wing backs take the foot. No, you can't do it if you've not got the ball. Now, then Steve's got to say to himself, how much have we got to have the ball? If we've got more of the ball, brilliant. If they've got more of the ball, then it's a dodgy. It's a dodgy. And know that I'm not saying that James doesn't work. He does work. He works very hard indeed. But what he's got to do when he's getting faced up is with world-class players. That's the difference. And I felt quite good as a right midfield player. But did I like getting faced up with Hadji? No, I hated it because I knew there was great chances he's got to run by me in Romania. No. So that is that can be a problem. Attacking wise, great idea. You got to get enough of the ball. I don't know. Steve will have to work that one out himself. And these are big calls that you make as a manager. Big calls. But when he makes a call, I'll tell you what's not going to happen. He won't have to doubt any player's commitment, and that's a good thing as a manager. As you go to your bed the night before the game, and you've picked the team, and you've got it right, and you're waking up in the morning and go, no, I need to change it.
Absolutely.
Alex, James, was incredible in those two games against Albania and Israel that went so far, went such a long way towards getting Scotland to Euro 2020. I think he got 2 against Albania, hat-trick against Israel. Mm-hmm. What do you think about James? He's obviously not had a lot of football this year, but would you start him, bring him on? What do you think?
Well, he came on and he was pretty impressive when he came on the other night, but as an attacking player, by and large, and I think Gordon's right, England have world-class players that play on the wings and fullbacks that back them up, and you would think they would get complete control on these channels, with their fullbacks. When we played against Albania and Israel, those 2 qualification games, unerring in the Israel game, the hat trick, but fantastic in the first game as well. And he just took that confidence into but the formation was 4-3-3, and we had a brilliant. Gordon spoke earlier, Chris Martin. We had a brilliant focal point in Stephen Fletcher in those 2 games, and a lot of the play went through him. The guy's nous, his knowledge about the penalty box. He was coming short, and Christie and Forrest were running beyond him. It was just a really good combination. And the fact that Stephen could allow James to run in there, and Ryan Christie as well running up the left side. It was a brilliant dynamic, and James' hat trick that night was just absolutely fantastic, and his finishing was frightening, and even once I said to Faddy, who was that scored that one, because that was some finish, and it's James again, just unsighted by the linesman, and sure enough, a fantastic performance from Forrest. He's not played a lot of football. He's very fresh, but has he got the legs to go in against a top English side, who are a top England team that are in full fitness and full levels of quality? But if it goes 4-3-3, then possibly, But if Stevie's going to play 3 at the back, then I totally agree with Gordon.
Well, guys, it's been smashing speaking to you both and hearing your thoughts on things. There's lots of food for thought for supporters there. But I have to ask you before we go, score prediction. Gordon, can we do it? Can we get a draw? Can we get a win? What do you think it'll go?
This is what I think will happen, and I want to happen, and it'll keep us in the last game 1-1.
You got in there before me.
I'll go nothing then. You get up 1-1.
Yeah, honestly, I do feel that we will show a bit of resilience, and we can get a favourable result out of this one to take us into the last game, and hopefully qualify from that one. I really do. You know, it's that Scotland trait. You know, we bounce back from an unexpected defeat. I know that, listen, we have to pay respect to the public, but the fever pitch was such that we would see them off. So I would like to think that we can show the bounce back ability of the Scottish nation and get at least a draw and go with Gordon 1 each. Matt, your speaker's off. Your speaker's off.
Sorry, I was just going to say I think 1-1's I'd be happy with a 1-1. That would be a good positive result for me and set us up nicely for the Croatia game. But listen, we're sorry for the technical issues that we had with everything, and it was smashing hearing from you both and speaking to you both and getting your thoughts on the game. So I hope everybody else enjoyed it as well, and let's see what happens on Friday night.
Thanks for carrying the show, Gordon.
No problem, Alec.
In my absence, mate.
Bye, everybody. Speak to you soon, Nick. Bye.
Cheers,
Bye. Bye.
Cheers, guys.
Bye.